Welcome to another fascinating deep dive into the incredible world of rare coins, where something as small and seemingly ordinary as a penny can be worth an unimaginable fortune. And today we're going to explore the captivating story of the 1977 1-cent coin that has stunned collectors and experts alike with a value that can reach an astonishing $3 million, not because it's made from gold or silver or some exotic material, but because of the incredible and rare errors and mistakes that make it one of the most sought-after pieces in the history of American coinage, a story that blends history, economics, minting technology, human error, and the unpredictable passion of collectors into a narrative that proves treasure can sometimes be hiding in plain sight, right in your change jar or old coin collection. And as we unravel this journey, we'll examine every detail of the 1977 penny's origin, the conditions of its production, the circumstances that could lead to such valuable mistakes, the kinds of errors known to have occurred, and the reasons why even subtle variations can drive collectors into frenzies of bidding wars. Because to truly appreciate why this coin could command such a jaw-dropping price, we need to first understand the context of its creation and the environment of the United States Mint in the 1970s, a period marked by changes in technology, economic pressures, and the inevitable presence of human oversight in what was supposed to be a tightly controlled minting process, with 1977 being a year when the Lincoln cent had already been in circulation for decades, bearing the familiar bust of Abraham Lincoln designed by Victor David Brenner in 1909, and yet despite the millions upon millions of these coins produced each year, there were certain batches, whether through planchet issues, striking errors, or misalignments, that would turn out to be anything but ordinary, with some examples displaying double die obverse errors where the lettering on Liberty or In God We Trust, or the date, 1977, appears doubled due to a misalignment in the hubbing process, an error that might seem subtle to an untrained eye but is immediately spotted by seasoned collectors who know that such doubling is incredibly rare and commands high premiums. And then there are off-center strikes where the coin is not properly seated in the press and the design is shifted significantly to one side, leaving part of the blank copper planchet exposed and creating a visually dramatic error that can fetch huge sums depending on the percentage of off-center striking and how well the visible date is preserved, because having the date intact on such errors is critical for its collector value. And let's not forget about broad strikes, where the collar that keeps the coin in place during striking is missing or malfunctioning, allowing the metal to spread outward and create a larger than normal penny that still retains its basic design, another type of error that can be both visually stunning and extremely valuable. But what really sets the 1977 pennies apart in some cases are wrong planchet errors, when the cent design was accidentally struck on a blank intended for another denomination, such as a dime or a foreign coin, producing a coin with the Lincoln design but with incorrect weight, diameter, and metal composition, making it an oddity that intrigues collectors worldwide. And while any of these errors alone can make a coin worth hundreds or thousands, in rare cases when multiple errors occur on the same coin, say, a double die strike on a wrong planchet with off-center alignment, the resulting specimen becomes a once-in-a-lifetime find that could reach astronomical prices at high-profile auctions, especially if the coin has been preserved in near-perfect condition, with high grades certified by top grading services like PCGS or NGC, because the grading process itself plays a huge role in determining value, with coins graded MS 65 or higher commanding exponentially more than their lower grade counterparts. And when you factor in the historical charm of a 1977 penny, produced in the era just before significant changes in U.S. coinage composition in the 1980s, you begin to see why certain specimens are chased so aggressively, with collectors willing to pay premium prices for something that bridges the gap between everyday currency and numismatic treasure. And of course there's also the allure of the hunt, because knowing that millions of 1977 pennies were made but only a microscopic fraction contain these lucrative errors, every search through a coin jar or old roll of pennies carries with it the tantalizing possibility of discovering one of these elusive treasures. And the stories of people finding such coins in the most unexpected places, like in pocket change from a grocery store or in inherited collections, only fuel the dream, while market dynamics further push values higher as more collectors enter the scene and competition increases, with online auction platforms, numismatic expos, and private sales all becoming battlegrounds for ownership of these error coins. And once a coin like the 1977 cent with a spectacular error is documented and authenticated, it often gains fame in collector circles, sometimes even appearing in coin magazines or specialist books, which in turn adds another layer of prestige and market desirability, leading to bidding wars that can propel prices into the millions. particularly if the coin has provenance linking it to a famous collection or a notable discovery story. and as we explore all of these factors, it becomes clear that the $3 million price tag is not just about metal and minting, it's about rarity, condition, historical context, and the passion of the numismatic community, and perhaps most importantly, it's about the unpredictable magic of human error turning an ordinary object into something extraordinary. So whether you're a seasoned collector or just someone who enjoys the thrill of the hunt, the tale of the 1977 1 cent worth millions is a reminder that history, craftsmanship, and luck can collide in the most unexpected ways, and that the change in your pocket could be more than just pocket change. It could be a piece of history waiting to be discovered, a numismatic miracle that transforms from humble copper into a fortune. And this is why coin collecting continues to captivate hearts and minds, because it blends art, history, and the thrill of discovery into a single small disc of metal that can carry stories, mistakes, and dreams worth far more than its face value. Next. Today we are going to uncover the incredible story of the 1997 1 cent coin that, in some cases, has been valued at an astonishing $400,000 due entirely to its rare and intriguing errors, a figure that seems almost unbelievable until you understand the complex and captivating world of numismatic rarity, where a tiny deviation from perfection during the minting process can transform a coin's destiny, lifting it from a humble piece of copper-plated zinc intended to pass unnoticed through millions of hands into an object of intense desire for collectors worldwide, sparking bidding wars, passionate debates, and high-stakes transactions. And to fully appreciate how this coin became so valuable, we need to step back to the year 1997, a time when the United States Mint was producing billions of Lincoln cents, each bearing the iconic image of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and the familiar Lincoln Memorial on the reverse, with designs that had been in place for decades, created by Victor David Brenner and Frank Gasparo, respectively. And while most of these coins emerged from the presses flawless in their mass-produced uniformity, a very small number escaped into circulation carrying mistakes that would ultimately set them apart forever, errors so rare and remarkable that even seasoned collectors could go decades without seeing one in person. And among these, double die errors stand out as one of the most sought after, where the image or lettering on the coin shows clear doubling due to a misalignment in the hubbing process during die creation, causing parts of "Liberty, in God We Trust," or the date, 1997, to appear shadowed or duplicated. And while minor doubling can occur frequently, the strong, bold doubling visible without magnification is what commands serious attention and high value, with examples in pristine mint state condition potentially reaching hundreds of thousands of dollars at auction. But doubling is only one category of error that makes the 1997 cent so extraordinary in certain cases, because the minting process, though technologically advanced, is still vulnerable to a variety of mishaps, and among the most visually dramatic are off-center strikes, where the coin blank, or planchet, is improperly seated in the press, causing the design to be struck off-center, sometimes leaving a crescent of blank metal and skewing Lincoln's portrait or the Lincoln Memorial into strange, eye-catching distortions. And the more extreme the off-center strike while still retaining a visible date, the more valuable the coin becomes, since the date confirms its rarity and distinguishes it from similar errors in other years. And then there are broad strikes, which occur when the collar die that holds the planchet in place during striking is absent or malfunctioning, allowing the metal to spread beyond its intended dimensions, producing a larger than normal penny with a stretched, slightly warped appearance that collectors prize, especially when the details remain sharp and the coin's surfaces are lustrous. But perhaps even rarer are wrong planchet errors, when a Lincoln cent design is accidentally struck on a blank intended for another denomination or even a foreign coin, resulting in a piece with incorrect weight, size, and composition, such as a cent struck on a dime planchet, which would be smaller and made of a different alloy, instantly making it a unique and highly valuable oddity. And in 1997, such wrong planchet errors, while exceedingly scarce, have been documented and can easily fetch extraordinary sums in the numismatic market, especially when authenticated and graded by top-tier grading services like PCGS or NGC, because the role of grading in determining value cannot be overstated. With high-grade coins, those graded MS 65, MS 66, or even higher, showing virtually no signs of wear and possessing strong eye appeal, often selling for multiples of what lower-grade examples bring. And when an error coin from 1997 is preserved in such exceptional condition, the combination of rarity and pristine state creates a perfect storm for skyrocketing value, which is how we get to the point where a single penny can be worth nearly $500,000. But there's also the matter of transitional errors, where coins are struck with designs or compositions from previous or upcoming years due to the use of outdated dies or incorrect planchets in the transition from one minting cycle to another. And though these are more commonly associated with other years, transitional errors involving 1997 cents, while almost mythical in their rarity, would represent a monumental find, potentially setting auction records. And beyond these well-known categories, there are also smaller, subtler varieties of error that can still add significant value, such as die cracks, where fractures in the die leave raised lines or blobs of metal on the coin's surface, or struck-through errors, where foreign objects like pieces of cloth, wire, or debris become lodged between the die and planchet during striking, imprinting unusual textures or patterns into the coin. And in cases where these anomalies are visually striking or cover large areas of the coin, they can become highly collectible. And let's not forget the human element, because the appeal of such coins is not just about technical rarity, it's about the stories they tell, about how a supposed machine-perfect process can still produce unpredictable and unrepeatable variations, and about the thrill of the hunt for collectors who dream of finding one in circulation, in an inherited coin jar, or tucked away in a forgotten bank roll. And in today's market, with information and sales data more accessible than ever, a spectacular error like a dramatic double die or an extreme off-center strike from 1997 can go from obscurity to headline news in collector circles in a matter of days, with online auction platforms and numismatic forums amplifying their fame and driving prices even higher. And the demand is not limited to American collectors, as international buyers also covet such rarities, seeing them as both historical artifacts and tangible investments, with the result that competition for top-tier examples can be fierce. And while $400,000 might seem an unimaginable sum for a coin with a face value of just 1 cent, in the world of numismatics, such valuations are driven by a confluence of factors: rarity, condition, error type, visual appeal, provenance, and collector demand, all aligning to create a perfect market storm. And when you consider that the vast majority of 1997 pennies are worth exactly 1 cent, the sheer improbability of finding one of these rare gems becomes part of its mystique, fueling the dreams of everyday people who might one day stumble upon a life-changing piece of copper-plated zinc in the most ordinary of circumstances. And this is why the story of the 1997 1-cent error coin is so compelling, because it embodies the magic of the hobby, the way a small, common object can carry within it the power to astonish, to connect people across generations, and to turn the mundane into the miraculous, reminding us that sometimes, in the most unassuming places, history, luck, and human curiosity can combine to create something truly priceless. Now we deep dive into the extraordinary world of coin collecting, where tiny details, hidden mistakes, and unexpected anomalies can transform an ordinary piece of pocket change into an object worth a staggering fortune. And today we're going to explore the remarkable story of the 1995 1-cent coin. A coin that under normal circumstances would be worth exactly 1 cent but in some exceptional cases has been valued at an astonishing $2 million because of the rare and fascinating errors that set it apart from the billions of others struck that year. A story that blends history, minting technology, the unpredictability of human error, and the relentless passion of collectors who will go to extraordinary lengths to obtain these rare treasures. And to fully understand how a simple copper-plated zinc penny from 1995 could command such an eye-watering price, we first have to step back into the context of its production, when the United States Mint was operating with high efficiency, producing hundreds of millions of Lincoln cents each year, all bearing the enduring portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, designed by Victor David Brenner back in 1909, and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse, designed by Frank Gasparo, which had been in place since 1959, with every coin expected to come out identical to the next. Yet despite the precision of the machinery and the careful monitoring of quality control, the minting process was not immune to the occasional mistake, and in 1995, some of these mistakes were not just minor blemishes but dramatic and unmistakable errors that would capture the attention of the numismatic world, chief among them being the famous double die obverse variety, one of the most well-known error types in U.S. coinage history, where the inscriptions on the front of the coin, particularly the words "Liberty" and "In God We Trust," along with parts of the date, 1995, appear clearly doubled, creating a shadowed, almost three-dimensional effect that is visible even without magnification, a result of a misalignment in the hubbing process when the working die was impressed more than once in slightly different positions. And while doubling in coinage can sometimes be so slight that it requires a loupe to detect, the 1995 double die is bold and obvious, making it instantly recognizable to collectors. And the combination of strong visual appeal and relative scarcity has made it one of the most famous modern U.S. coin errors, with pristine High-grade examples commanding incredible prices, but doubling is far from the only type of error that can make a 1995 cent valuable, because the minting process allows for a variety of mistakes that can slip through, each with its own appeal to collectors, such as off-center strikes, where the coin blank, or planchet, is improperly positioned in the press so that the design is struck noticeably off-center, leaving part of the blank surface visible, and the more dramatic the off-center misalignment while still retaining a full, legible date, the greater the coin's value, especially in uncirculated condition. Then there are broad strikes, which occur when the collar die that normally holds the coin in place during striking is absent or malfunctioning, allowing the metal to spread outward beyond its intended diameter, producing a coin with an enlarged, distorted appearance. Another error that can fetch impressive prices depending on how cleanly it was struck and how well it has been preserved. And we also have wrong planchet errors, among the most intriguing mistakes in all of numismatics, where a coin is struck on a blank intended for a different denomination or even for a foreign coin, resulting in incorrect weight, size, and metal composition, such as a 1995 cent struck on a dime planchet, which would be smaller and made of a copper-nickel alloy instead of copper-plated zinc, instantly marking it as an ultra-rare anomaly that could bring a massive payday at auction. And there are also double strike errors, where a coin is struck more than once, either in perfect alignment or with a noticeable shift between strikes, creating a ghostly overlapping effect of the design that can range from subtle to spectacular, with dramatic misaligned double strikes being particularly prized. And in addition to these well-known categories, there are more subtle varieties that can still carry significant value, such as die cracks, which occur when a die develops fractures during use, leaving raised lines or blobs of extra metal on the struck coin, or struck through errors, where foreign material like cloth, wire, or metal shavings become lodged between the die and the planchet during striking, leaving unique, sometimes dramatic impressions that can cover large portions of the coin's surface. And for collectors, part of the thrill lies in the fact that no two struck-through errors are exactly alike, making each one a one-of-a-kind specimen. And when such errors appear on a 1995 cent, especially on an example already famous for the double die obverse, they become doubly desirable. And of course, condition is everything in determining value, because while an error coin will always be more valuable than a regular example, a coin in mint state condition, graded MS 65 or higher by top-tier grading services like PCGS or NGC, can be worth exponentially more than one with signs of wear, as sharp detail, original luster, and the absence of scratches or contact marks are critical to commanding top prices. And when you combine an extraordinary error with exceptional condition and strong visual appeal, you have the formula for a record-breaking coin, which is exactly how a select few 1995 cents have reached the $2 million mark, often through high-profile auctions where multiple passionate bidders drive the price far beyond initial estimates. And it's important to remember that beyond the monetary value, these coins carry immense historical and collector significance, serving as tangible evidence of the unpredictable nature of the minting process and the fact that even in an age of advanced technology, human oversight and mechanical limitations can still allow rare, fascinating anomalies to slip into circulation. And the stories of these coins often include equally fascinating tales of discovery, with some found in bank rolls, pocket change, or inherited collections by people who had no idea they were holding a small fortune, sparking a mix of disbelief and excitement that adds to the coin's lore. And the market for such coins has only intensified in recent years as awareness spreads through online platforms, collector forums, and televised auction events, drawing in both seasoned numismatists and curious newcomers eager to try their luck. And while the odds of finding such a coin are slim, the possibility itself is enough to keep millions of eyes scanning their change, because in the world of numismatics, miracles can and do happen, turning a humble penny into a legendary artifact worth more than a luxury home. And the 1995 1 cent with its dramatic errors stands as a shining example of why this hobby continues to capture the imagination, blending history, craftsmanship, rarity, and the thrill of the hunt into a single small disc of metal that holds within it the potential to change someone's life forever.